That little rock on someone's finger right now, the one that means forever, it's not rare. It's not a good investment. And the entire reason you think you're supposed to buy one is a single advertising campaign from 1938. Here's the twisted part. The company that convinced the whole planet a shiny piece of carbon is priceless just got written down by $6.8 billion and put up for sale that nobody wants to buy. So how do you trick the entire world into loving a rock and then lose everything? Stick around, because the dumbest twist is right at the end. Let's get one thing straight, because it breaks people's brains. Diamonds are not rare. They're compressed carbon. There are enough of them buried in the ground to give everyone on Earth a fistful. And before the 1930s, almost nobody proposed with a diamond ring. It wasn't a tradition. It wasn't romantic. It was just not a thing. So who told me I had to buy one? 1938. Hi. The answer is one company, one ad agency, and possibly the greatest scam ever legally pulled. To understand how they did it, we have to go back to the moment diamonds almost became worthless. Picture the 1870s. Someone hits diamonds in South Africa. Not a little pocket, an ocean of them. And that's a disaster. Because the only thing making diamonds valuable was people thinking they were scarce. Flood the market, and a diamond is worth about as much as a nice pebble. Enter a man named Cecil Rhodes. In 1888, he starts buying up the mines and glues them into one company, De Beers. And Rhodes figures out the trick the entire empire will run on for the next century. Don't sell all the diamonds. Sell some of them. Lock the rest in a vault. Control the supply, and you control the price. If there's ever too many diamonds, you just hide them. In 1929, a man named Ernest Oppenheimer takes over and perfects it. At the peak, De Beers controls 90% of the world's diamonds. And when there's a surplus, they literally stockpile them so prices never, ever fall. And it went deeper than hoarding. De Beers controlled who was even allowed to buy. A handful of approved dealers would get a sealed box of diamonds a few times a year. Price set by De Beers. No negotiating, no picking what's inside. Take the box or lose your spot forever. You didn't buy diamonds from De Beers. You accepted them. So that's half the scam. Fake scarcity. But a rock nobody wants is still worthless, even if it's rare. They had the supply. Now they needed you to want it. Fast forward to 1938. The Great Depression has wrecked everyone. Diamond prices are sliding. The stones people are buying are small and cheap. De Beers is sitting on a mountain of rocks nobody's excited about. So Harry Oppenheimer flies to New York and hires an ad agency, N.W. Ayer, with an almost supervillain level mission. Don't sell diamonds. Sell a feeling. Make men believe a diamond is proof of love, and that a bigger diamond means bigger love. And it works in ways that are genuinely evil genius. They put diamonds on movie stars, basically inventing influencer marketing decades early. They plant stories in gossip columns. They send lecturers into high schools to teach teenagers that engagements need diamonds. But here's the part that's almost too clever. Ayer didn't sell a brand. They studied Americans and found the real problem. People thought diamonds were only for the ultra-rich. So instead of selling a De Beers diamond, they sold the idea that any diamond equals love. Their ads barely showed a logo. They weren't advertising a product, they were installing a belief. Then they wired it straight into culture. Marilyn Monroe sang that diamonds are a girl's best friend. A James Bond film borrowed their slogan for its title. Everywhere you looked, the same message, and almost none of it looked like an ad. Then in 1947, a copywriter named Frances Garrity is exhausted, half asleep, and scribbles 4 words before bed. She thinks they're fine, just okay. Nobody in the meeting is impressed. Those four words become the #1 advertising slogan of the entire century. And here's the genius of forever. If a diamond is forever, you can never resell it. It's not a purchase, it's a vow. A vow has no resale value, which conveniently means it never competes with new diamonds. The results are insane. In the 1930s, about 10% of brides got a diamond ring. By the end of the century, over 80%. They didn't find a market, they built one out of nothing, in your head. They even invented the 2 months salary rule. That number isn't tradition, it's a line from an ad. And it crept. First, they suggested 1 month's salary, then 2. In some countries, they floated 3. Someone decided how much of your paycheck you owe your fiancé, quietly raised the price over the years, and you said thank you. But here's the fatal crack in the whole empire, and they couldn't see it. Their entire fortune rested on one belief, that diamonds are special and scarce, which is fine, right up until somebody figures out how to make a perfect one in a factory for pennies. For decades, the cracks were slow. Other countries found their own diamonds, Russia, Canada, Angola, and De Beers's iron grip started slipping from that 90% down toward a third. The supply monopoly it was built on quietly died. It got so messy that for years, De Beers couldn't even legally operate in the United States, the very market it invented, because American law treated it as an illegal cartel. They only settled that in the 2000s. Annoying, but survivable. And then came the thing that forever couldn't survive. Lab-grown diamonds. Not fakes, not cubic zirconia. Real diamonds. Chemically, physically, optically identical. Grown in a machine in a few weeks. Even a jeweler can't tell them apart without special equipment. Same rock, same sparkle. One difference. The lab one costs 80 to 90% less. And the whole illusion just buckles. Because if the stones are identical, what exactly was that premium paying for? The answer is the story. And once everyone can see the story, they stop paying for it. Today, lab-grown diamonds make up more than 45% of US engagement rings. Natural diamond prices have crashed to the lowest level this century, and demand from China, once a huge engine of growth, fell off a cliff. And here's the ultimate irony. De Beers spent years sneering that lab-grown diamonds were cheap, soulless fashion, not real diamonds. Then they launched their own lab-grown brand to cash in. Then they panicked and shut it down. And the empire that invented the value of diamonds, its parent company, Anglo-American, has written De Beers down by $6.8 billion in 3 years. Its value has been cut to less than half of what it was in 2022. In 2025, it lost $500 million. And right now, they are quietly trying to sell the whole thing off. A 137-year-old company that shaped how the entire world gets married, and struggling to find anyone willing to buy it. A diamond, it turns out, is forever. The company that sold you that line is not. So here's what this is actually about, and it's bigger than rocks. Value isn't a fact. It's a story someone convinced you to believe. A diamond is worth thousands, not because of what it is, it's compressed carbon, remember, but because for almost a century, one company controlled both how many existed and how much you were told to want them. And manufactured value has a weakness. It collapses the second the manufacturing does. The moment someone could make the exact same thing without De Beers, the magic price evaporated. And once you see the trick, you start seeing it everywhere. Every limited edition drop, every only a few left, every rock, sneaker, or bag that's really just a story with a price tag stapled on. Which brings us back to our guy and his $5,000 rock. The natural diamond loses roughly half its value the instant you walk out of the store. Because remember, it's forever, so you can't resell it. The identical lab-grown one is $800. You're not paying for a rock. You never were. You're paying for a story that a copywriter wrote before bed in 1947 and thought was just okay. So I have to ask, knowing all this, would you still buy a natural diamond? Or is the identical lab-grown one for a fraction of the price the smarter flex? Drop it in the comments, and be honest because I know some of you already bought the expensive one.